Okay. Hi, Victor. How are you today?
I'm well. I'm doing very well, Ruth. Good to
Great.
see you.
Please. Good to see you too. So, just would you mind just introducing yourself,
Sure.
just so that people know who you are, and I'll then introduce myself as well.
Right, right. My name is Victor Wooten. Musician, primarily a bass guitarist, a
Hmm.
bassist, and I've been playing my whole life, literally my whole life, learning from my brothers. I guess most people might know my music from playing with a banjo player named Bela Fleck
Yeah.
and the Flecktones.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah,
Mm.
that's
Mm.
me.
Okay, great, Victor. So we're just going to spend a little bit of time today talking about Focal Dystonia. So for the people who don't know me, I'm Ruth Chiles. I work with treating Focal Dystonia, principally with musicians, be it focal hand dystonia or focal embouchure dystonia. Um, and so just for us to talk a bit about Focal Dystonia and the work that we've been doing together. So, Victor, would you just to give us some background? When did you first start noticing that something was going on in your hand?
I started noticing maybe somewhere between 15 and 20 years ago.
Okay.
And I apologize, my brain is never specific when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
years and dates.
Mm-hmm.
But as in talking with friends of mine and speaking with Bela and my other good friend Steve Bailey,
Mm-hmm.
it seems between 15 to 20 years ago, they can remember hearing
Okay.
me talk about not dystonia because I didn't know, I never knew that name until recently.
Yeah.
But I would talk about my hands and fingers feeling sluggish, like
Mm.
they're
Mm.
just not moving as
Mm.
well as they
Mm.
used to, not as fluid, like more
Yes.
effort needed.
Yeah.
And so I,
Yeah.
like
Mm.
probably like most people, I thought I needed to practice more,
Right. Right. Yeah.
and
That's a
that
common response. Mm.
didn't seem to work. Yeah. So
Okay.
it's
Okay.
been that long.
It's a long
Um,
time. That's a long
yes.
time. Yeah.
Yes.
And so tell us what you've done in that time to try and resolve the problem.
Sure. Well, maybe 2.5 years ago, um, I was doing a program at a college, at Berkeley College of Music, and I was
Mm.
having dinner with a
Mm.
bunch of bass instructors. And one
Mm.
of the instructors heard me talking about what I was feeling.
Mm.
And he says, "It sounds like you have dystonia."
Right.
And I was like, "Well, what is that?"
Mm. Mm.
And he explained it and it sounded right. So I went
Yeah.
back to my hotel that night and looked it up, and it
Mm.
seemed to fit me perfectly.
Right. Right.
And I'll say, as soon as I was able to say, "Oh wow, that's what I have,"
Mm.
Ruth, it seemed to get worse at that point.
Right. That's
It's like
yeah. Yeah.
now I had a name for it.
Mm. Mm.
Um, and I was able to start looking it up, and
Mm.
over the next year or so, I was able to get an official diagnosis
Right.
so that
Right.
I could go see some hand specialists and things like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And although everyone was saying good things to do,
Mm. Mm.
different things to do, stretching and with my back and all sorts of things,
Mm. Mm.
it most of it, if not all of it, seemed to be very physical
Yeah.
oriented in what I was supposed to do, which I
Yes.
think is good. I need to do those things anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But when my dystonia drastically increased when I put a name to it, that
Yes.
let me know back then, a couple
Yeah.
years ago, that this is a mental thing.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
And then my wife finally found you online
Mm-hmm. Mm.
and told me you need to look at this woman. And so I looked at your website,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm.
what you were talking about was so different to me than what
Mm.
I had ever heard. It was so out of the box,
Right.
borderline crazy. But when I say crazy, I mean it in the best sense of the word. It
Yeah.
just means that this person's not thinking like a normal way,
Mm.
like everyone else.
Mm.
A lot different. And
Mm.
so I was able to make an appointment. We
Mm.
had our consultation,
Mm.
and
Mm.
I was in.
Right. Okay.
Not
Mm.
because I understood it,
Right.
but that it still made sense,
Yes.
and it
Yeah.
was something that I hadn't heard before.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Great. So,
Mhm.
um, and I think that what you. I mean, I like that you say crazy actually, because we're talking about a part of the brain that isn't linear. It's not logical. We're working on a really deep part of the brain that is metaphorical and doesn't actually. We can't put it into a box. So I like that you say that
Well,
my
I mean,
approach sounds crazy.
the whole thing is crazy.
Yeah,
You
right.
know, I've my whole life I've been in very good control of my body. If I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to physically do something, whether it's a flip
Mm,
or on the instrument, I could do it.
mm, mm.
But all of a sudden, my fingers are rebelling.
Right, right.
And I mean, even just bringing my hand to my instrument, the thought of playing
Mm,
used to make my fingers curl into a ball. These three,
mm, mm,
and
mm.
you know, we've gotten way past that now.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was crazy, and
Mm,
still is
mm,
crazy. It doesn't make
mm,
any sense at
mm,
all.
mm, 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 mm.
And so again, my brothers are crazy. So when I say crazy, I mean it in the best sense of the word.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
finally someone's thinking out of the box.
yeah. Great.
And a lot of times when we don't think normally, we use the term crazy. So I love it.
Yes, yeah, me too, me too. So tell us some more about what was going on in your hand before we started to work. Just about that time. What was happening? What were you noticing in your fingers?
Sure. Well,
Mm,
fortunately for me, I didn't know what it was for
mm,
years. So I played around it.
mm.
But I started to notice that I almost would quit using my ring finger,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
and I would start using my pinky for everything
Mm,
that my
mm-hmm.
ring finger would normally do.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and this was all unconscious
Mm, mm.
until I just noticed it.
Yes.
But when I put the name to it, it seemed to really affect these three fingers.
Yeah.
Oh, I must say this too. It also used to be my right hand, my picking hand
Mm,
also,
mm,
and
mm.
very difficult to get these two hands to line up.
Okay. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem to affect my picking hand at all
Right.
anymore.
Right. Okay.
At
Good.
all. I used to
Mm,
start playing everything with my thumb
mm-hmm.
because these fingers weren't
Mm,
working right.
mm, mm.
Now, these two hands don't 100% line up
Mm-hmm.
all the way, but I don't feel anything in my picking hand anymore.
Yes. Yeah.
This hand, I still feel it a little bit,
Okay.
but it is not as drastic,
Yeah.
and I can use my ring finger
Mm.
again as
Okay.
evenly as the others.
Okay. So when we first started to work together, just as in the thought of bringing your hand up to the neck of the bass, these fingers would begin to curl in.
Just the even the thought of it.
Mm,
So if my
mm.
hand was here, as I brought it up, these fingers would curl under the neck.
Right. Right. Mm,
Just at the
mm,
thought of it.
mm.
And that would feel normal. Like that's the comfortable place.
Right. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it got to where I could use these two fingers
Mm-hmm.
pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I used to play like that for a while.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
now bringing my hand up to my instrument
Yes.
feels totally normal.
Okay. Okay. Good. So what's left, or of any strange sensations now in your left hand?
Yeah. What is left is w- the easy way to say what is left is a much lesser version of the same thing,
Mm,
right?
mm,
I have control of these fingers, but as you see, they will still want to curl a little
mm,
bit rather than staying right here.
mm, mm,
They
mm.
should hover. If I have good technique, good bass technique,
Yeah.
my fingers should stay hovered right above the string, but they
Right.
still want to curl just a little.
Just a
But
little. Yeah.
what I'm not getting much of, Ruth, every once in a while I'll get it, is that drastic pull off.
Mm,
That
mm,
my fingers used to
mm.
do that
Yeah.
all the time.
Yes.
Rare that they do that at all.
Mm,
Now what they're trying to do is just curl a little bit.
mm,
Not my
mm-hmm,
pinky, but my
mm,
two middle fingers think
mm,
that
mm,
right here is more
mm.
comfortable. So it still takes uh, doing you know the process that you have given me,
Yes.
but they
Mm.
still want to stay curled a
Yeah.
little, but they
Yeah.
don't just yank the string off. So
Okay.
we're getting there. We're
Yes.
getting
Yeah.
very, very close. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. And can you tell us a bit about as we've been working, you've realized that it's not just something that's going on in your fingers, that there are other things going on, maybe in the jaw, the mouth, the shoulders, the upper body. Can you tell us a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, and I could tell you a lot about it, but I'll try
Mm.
not to. Um, the one of the biggest things, other than the dystonia
Mm,
lessening drastically,
mm,
having worked with you, is the fact that I realized that it's not just in my fingers.
right.
Um, when I feel that dystonia and I pay attention to my whole body, I
Mm,
realize my mouth is tensed. I can feel it
mm-hmm,
in a certain part of my head. My
mm-hmm,
shoulders are ever so slightly hunched. My
mm,
breathing is up here rather than
yes.
down low.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can feel it all over,
Mm,
and
mm,
that was a or is an eye opener, I guess, for lack of a
mm,
better term,
mm,
big eye opener,
mm,
where normally I'm focused right here, but
mm,
now I can focus and feel the dystonia kind of all
mm,
over
mm,
mostly
mm,
my upper body is where I
mm,
notice it, but all
mm,
over.
mm. Okay. Okay. And as that whole upper body reaction has begun to become less, what's been the impact on your fingers?
Well, my fingers the dystonic symptoms have become less.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and and I don't know if this is a part of it,
Mm-hmm.
but taking my attention off of totally this fingers
Mm-hmm. Mm.
seems to has helped because now my attention is more on my body,
Yes. Yeah.
my whole body, and as my whole
Mm,
body aligns or
mm,
relaxes or whatever,
mm,
it seems to uh,
mm, mm,
translate or transmit into the fingers
mm, mm,
relaxing more
mm,
also.
mm. And and I talk a lot in the videos and things that I've been recording. I've been talking about dystonia as being part of a stress response, as a response of the activation of the autonomic nervous system. And you just there described, perfectly a whole body stress response of the
Mhm.
holding of the breath, the shoulders tightening, the mouth tightening. We all know that when the body feels under threat, that's exactly what
Mhm.
it does as a response
Mhm.
to that, and being able to see how directly that's related to what's going on in the fingers.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm,
it seems to be true,
mm,
and
mm,
where the original stress comes from, um, I think is important too, and we talked about that
mm, mm,
and
mm,
addressed that, and I believe that helps. But
mm,
just really noticing that it's not just something going on in my fingers,
mm,
but
mm,
my whole body
mm, mm, mm,
seems to be
mm,
making a drastic change.
Great, great. So, is there anything else about the process, about the way that we've worked together, that you think that you would like to talk about that's been impactful for you?
Well, one of the main things for me, Ruth, is first of all, I'm not an expert in any of this, and I haven't worked with a lot of people.
Mm, mm,
I've done a lot of reading about people who have worked with a lot of people, but what I get from you, and I'm glad I found you early on, is that you seem to pay attention to what's going on with me and then prescribe something based on what's going on with me.
mm,
Which, and I don't know this for sure, but it makes me think. It feels like your approach is see what's going on with the patient, describe the
mm,
remedy or the
mm,
exercises for
mm.
that person. It seems like
Yes.
you even over the screen, we've never met in person.
Mm,
I
mm,
can feel your attention. I can see you looking at my eyes
mm,
and my
mm,
hands and hey,
mm.
and if something happens, you'll ask me what's going on there,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like that because it
Mm,
seems like it's just not a cookie cutter program
mm,
that you
mm,
offer and
mm,
everybody gets the same thing.
mm, mm,
It
mm,
seems to me that your scope, your awareness is wide enough
mm.
that for me you have this tool, that tool, and this tool, but
Yes.
for
Yeah.
someone else you might need this tool and the other tool,
Exactly.
and I
Mm,
like that.
mm,
you know
mm, exactly. Because, this is about our personal history being expressed into the body, and everyone has their own complete, unique personal history.
hmm
And that's what I need to be working with, is that unique personal history and what's going to work, and then the uniqueness as we are. Just, we're all unique people. And I mean, as a teacher, you might explain a particular technique to one student, but need to explain it in a completely different way to another student, or give another student a completely different way of working with it, because we're each unique in the way we learn, in the way we are, the way we function. So when we combine those two things, yes, the way I've worked with you has been unique, as is for everybody that I work with.
Good. And you have always, rather than referring to it as bad, a problem, a disease, you've always referred to it to me as just a symptom.
Yes.
Which right away lightened it.
Mm.
It's just a symptom of something else. So it's
Exactly.
showing up because something else is going on.
Exactly.
And it seems to me that we were able to get to that something else. And that's whatever that something else is, solving that is lessening the symptom.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I like that approach.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you for that. So is there anything else that you think would be useful for us to talk about before we close today?
I think, I mean, what pops in my mind as you say that is just people's approaches in general with dystonia and the symptoms. I mean, I hope more people will find you, and I say that honestly, not because you are there. And it just seems to me that a lot of people are so negative, either out of fear or the lack of not knowing anything about it, almost like COVID. We don't know who has it. You can't see it. You can't take
Yes.
people seem to be really either afraid or but whatever it is, it's showing up as almost hostility. So at first I got on some of the forums because I was new and I went in and I just pulled back. I was like, this is not the energy I need. But I really want the people out there is that even if you never cure your dystonia, you're still musical.
Yes.
You can still play. I've seen people with no arms or no hands play, and it didn't stop them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I believe it's that initial mindset, which I feel lucky that I played for, a good 15, close to 20 years before I ever even knew what it was. So I came into this still touring heavily when I met
Yes.
you,
Yeah.
still gigging
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
I know I can play.
Mm.
I'm musical. I've been playing my whole life. This is not going to stop me from
Mm.
playing,
Mm.
but I
Mm.
still want to fix it.
Yes.
And you've been
Absolutely.
helping me with that. So I want other people to still be musical.
Yeah.
And it's easy to make the dystonic symptoms our focus. But I've been able to keep music my focus. And the same way, if my instrument goes down, I break a string, it doesn't rob me of being musical. I fix it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I appreciate you for helping me fix
Yeah.
this issue.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for that perspective, Victor. I think that's, really, that's the core. That's the core of it. That if I would look at it from a really technical perspective, the core is that we're trying to bring our nervous system into well-being, and allow it to come out of fear and out of negativity, and bring it into well-being and neutrality. And so that, just from that very technical perspective, what you're saying, I love, but also from the human aspect that, we are musicians, and that's a given.
Yeah.
Whatever limitations we might have around being musicians, we are musicians, and that's a given. And that's where it's important for us to really focus on, and to be the center from which we come out of, in anything that we do around in life, in music, but also in resolving what's going on in the fingers, or the embouchure for embouchure dystonia. So thank you very much for that. I think that's a really lovely place to finish.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you for what you're
Mm.
doing for us.
It's my passion. I felt that during a period of time, I felt that I had music robbed from me because of my own dystonia and then my other performance blocks. And then I realized that wasn't true. And, you know, and it's part of my passion around, you know, I feel very blessed to have this work. Part of my passion is to say, you know, music is part of our soul, and
Yes.
and it's important that we are able to rediscover that.
Right. I agree. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor.
You're
Thanks.
welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye.